Jake, how are you, my friend?
I've been good, man. Doing really good. Just living out in Las Vegas. Got away from California. It's a little mad out there. I'm sure you guys
Y-
here. So just been out here working with fighters, doing lots of business stuff.
See, that's me. Both me and Lewis are in New York, and we got out to New Jersey because of the craziness out here. So
Yeah.
everybody's had to like move a little bit out to where there's still freedom.
Yeah, you know, the we can compare New Jersey to the awesomeness that is Las Vegas. We live in one of the worst places you could live. At least you kind of upgraded. In my opinion, I think Vegas is a cooler place to be than California.
Then New Jersey?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because New York and California is always where you wanted to be, but now you're kind of like, get the hell out of there. So I lived
Yeah.
in New York for a couple of years too, which is it is a great city, but obviously got a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, well, luckily they've at least dropped some of the craziness, so I'm allowed to go to a restaurant again in New York City.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is,
Yeah,
Without
I
the
still-
Vex.
I still can't go to a restaurant in San Francisco, which is where I lived for 20 years. So I can't go visit my friends and stuff there. It's truly absurd.
They
Uh,
still
you know,
they still have a Vax mandate in San Francisco.
they're holding strong in San Francisco. I can't see them going much longer, but it's still in effect right now.
I mean, every time I've gone to San Francisco, I've been bitten by homeless people. So I don't understand how they're.
Which, by the way, ironically, will actually prevent you from getting
It's
COVID.
true. That was my
no one wants to
vaccination.
talk about this, but one homeless bite and you never get COVID.
That's how I knew early on that COVID wasn't going to get me. All the crackheads were having block parties. I'm like, oh, they're fine. I'm gonna be fine.
It is true that people with the weakest immune systems amongst us were just all over each other the whole
Oh yeah,
time.
they didn't care. They didn't care. Jake, we're very happy to have you on the show. It is a very big day in the world of fighting, not in the world of mixed martial arts,
Yeah.
but in the world of street justice.
Celebrity.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, everyone in the world is commenting on this. Me and Dave haven't really even spoken on this just yet. Give me your take on this. Last night, you obviously know Chris Rock was on stage at the Oscars. He delivered a joke. He made fun of Will Smith's wife.
And we want your technical analysis here now.
Yeah, I
How
want
was it a
both.
good
Okay.
slap?
That's-
I'll give-
That's great. I really
Yeah.
want to see it from the fighter's perspective here. And then Will Smith got offended, or actually he didn't get offended. He laughed at first. He saw his wife's reaction. She was not happy. So he got
That's
up,
right.
rushed the stage, open hand smacks
Now,
Chris Rock.
this is a guy who's trained with Nick and Nate Diaz for many, many
He
years.
knows a thing or two about open hand slapping.
Stock and slap, yeah. We've mastered the stock and slap, and that was terrible technique. He doesn't swing the arm through. He goes halfway. He stops. Go watch Nate Diaz slapping or me slapping AJ Agazane versus watch this. It's just not a terrible technique. I give it a D minus.
D minus.
Okay.
So what did you think of this overall, right? Because I think I don't even know if there's a lot. There is a debate. I guess the debate is: did Chris Rock take it too far? Was Will Smith warranted in going up on stage and attacking him? Give me your opinion when you saw this and when you heard about this.
I think it was absurd. No way. Chris Rock's a comedian and a hilarious one. And should be able to make jokes. His wife's a public figure. I get it. I'll back up my girl too if someone insults him. But it's different when a comedian's making a joke. It wasn't that bad. And then to go out there and just randomly slap him is it's absurd. Makes him look really bad. I think it's a lot of people have said online, there's probably something to do with him feeling weak with his wife sleeping with other people, which I could care less what they're doing in their own personal life. But I think it maybe makes him feel a little weak and less about himself and probably overreaction.
Yeah, well, I think the thing, I wouldn't have even felt a way about it. I thought it was weird that they aired it out for the world, but the thing that made Will Smith look so bad was that he was clearly bothered by it. And they were airing it out to the world. It's not like he was just like, yeah, my wife fucks other dudes. I fuck other chicks. We don't care. That's just the way we are. We're different. You know what I mean? He was clearly like, okay. Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah, if they owned it, if they were like, we're freaks, we just like to get out there and party, I'd be like, yeah, more power to you, baby boy. Go out there and get yours.
Right.
But what's happening, in my opinion, I think we're watching Will Smith come undone. He's unhinged.
He's a
similar to Kanye.
sad, pussy whipped dude, is what it looks like.
Exactly.
That he's not only did he not fucking put his foot down about her fucking the other guy, didn't put his foot down about we're not talking about this publicly, and then he's laughing at the joke. He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And then he has to save face by running up and slapping Chris Rock. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Humiliation, Like you said, I'm not Puritan. I've done a lot of things in my time, but it's different when they're in a relationship. She's publicly humiliating him too. She's telling everyone. She's rubbing in his face. She's just making him demasculizing him. But he allowed that. So I think it's the way of trying to overcompensate. But he's the one that allowed himself to be put in that situation.
Let me ask you a question. What about in the world of fighting? Is there can shit talking go too far? Is there anything that should be off limits in the world of fighting?
mean, that one's a tough one. It gets, when you're sitting there insulting people's families and religions and that type of stuff, it's going to get personal. That's why I think we see some of these brawls afterwards. To me, as a fan, I love it. I love it when guys get in a fight after, like when Khabib jumps over the cage and kicks Dylan Dennis in the head. But MMA journalists will freak out over it, which is nice talking to comedians instead. You guys probably laughed your ass off too. But the journalists think it's like the most painful thing ever.
Well, I love there's this weird like hypocrisy that because everyone loves it, but then half of the people pretend that they don't love it and that it's like, oh no, this is really bad. It's like, look, the truth is that the Khabib thing, when Conor and them had that brawl at the bus, or it wasn't a brawl, I guess, but he threw the trolley or whatever at the side of the bus, that they're like, this is so horrible, this is awful. And by the way, we're going to use it in every single trailer to promote this fight now.
Exactly.
Because of
Terrible,
course.
But we love it.
Yeah, because that makes it more compelling. That makes it more like, oh shit, I really want to see these guys fight now. Who wouldn't?
Well, it's real.
We fight for a living, and sometimes our emotions are up when we're fighting someone, so our adrenaline's up. So we're gonna get in fights occasionally. To guys to act like it's not the same if random people get in a street fight. It's like you're signed to fight a guy, you're talking shit. It's likely that you're gonna pop off and get in a fight. And then when the fans act shocked, it's ridiculous. Kind of I remember the Mayhem fight after my Dan Henderson fight. He jumped in and he got beat up. Same thing. They were freaking out. It was like, dude, the guy came in, jumped in my face right after the fight. What did you expect?
Well, you also should probably know who you're jumping in the cage with. Because, like, look, different people are different types of people. And if you jump in at, like, in George St. Pierre's camp, and you're like, hey, George St. Pierre, you suck. I want to fight you again. Or something.
Well, that is your opinion.
He goes, yes. He goes, while I do not agree with your opinion, I will fight to the death for your right to say it. Like, that's what you're going to get. But if you jump in a cage with Jake Shields and Nick and Nate Diaz, and you're like, where's my rematch, motherfucker?
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, yes. Yes. Well, what about did you see the stuff with Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal? So you think that's all fair game?
I don't think Masvidal should jump them, but I don't think Kobe should press charges either. That's a blurred line. I don't think it's really fair game to stalk someone outside of a restaurant. So I think that's a case of Masvidal going too far. But I mean, I still think it's hilarious. And I don't think I would press charges if I was a Kobe situation. I think it's your fighters, you fight. I would call my crew and get payback instead.
Well, I think that's what
Kobe probably doesn't have a crew is the difference.
Yeah, he's hanging out with a bunch of like rich YouTubers, right? He's not hanging out with fighters, right?
Because Colby's got to call Donald Trump and see what he can do for him.
But it's like, I agree with you. And the other thing, I think there's a sort of a nuance there that people don't really consider, right? Like fighters fight, and it's not like like you guys really fight. You guys are fighting high level guys who know how to fucking destroy a human body with their fists and legs. They can kill you with their bare hands. So a little scuffle outside of a restaurant, I think to the general public, to people, to the average man, we're like, oh my God, that's not civilized. That's illegal. You can't assault another human being. But this is sort of like, pretty mild.
Trying to beat each other to death. So it's kind of like a perspective, but like it's not civilized. Like, it's not role models. Well, we never ask you role models. We're literally in a cage beating the hell out of people. We're not people we should be looking at as a role model.
Do you think that UFC fighters or mixed martial artists in general have sort of a responsibility once they get a certain amount of fame to be a little bit more of a role model?
Not really. I don't think it's, you're as a fighter. I don't think you owe anyone responsibility. I mean, you don't want to look like John Jones, I guess, but I don't think you owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
But we fight because we want to do it. I'm not fighting trying to, I never started fighting like, I want kids to look up to me.
Yeah, I thought, this is also one of the reasons why I thought the Will Smith thing was so lame. I just thought it was lame that it's almost like, dude, you were never hard. Like, you were never hard when you were a rapper. You were the Fresh Prince. You know what I mean? Like, and now you're, like, older, and it's like, now you're trying to, like, cultivate this, like, fucking, keep my wife's name out your mouth, motherfucker. And then I don't know why I remembered thinking, but when Nick Diaz, if you remember in his interview before his last fight, where he was like, oh, I'm not really trying to do any of that gangster shit or like talking shit anymore. He's like, I don't know. I'm just like older now. I'm teaching these kids jujitsu. Like I want them. I'm trying to set an example for them. Not really trying to do this anymore. You would think that like the older
I bet you, and I'm sure Jake can comment to this. I bet you can get Nick back to his old ways.
Oh yeah. I mean, someone would just have to talk shit to him, I'm sure.
But we're going to bring old Nick will be back. Trust me. He just needs a little time.
Listen, if I'm being completely honest, as much as I was like, oh, that's really decent that he said that, I was also like, so you're not going to talk shit to Robbie Lawler tomorrow night? Like a little bit of Nick Diaz? Like, what's up, bitch?
Yeah,
none of that.
A little slap and shit talking would have been nice, but hey.
Yeah, all right. But hey, listen, to each their own.
Did you have to get yourself angry to fight most of your fights, or was it just sort of business?
wouldn't say angry, but it made myself not like the opponent. You know, you can't like the guy you're fighting, so it's like you kind of got to make yourself hate him. That's why it's easy to get off in a fight. You know, you see the guy who says something, you're naturally going to want to attack him because you mean I can't fight someone that I'm a friend with, so I have to make myself dislike him. And I would always, no one in my weight class I would really be friends with. So I wanted to keep distance. They don't want to like someone I have to fight.
Who did you like the most that you had to beat up?
You guys are like, I like Robbie Lawler. He was cool. Henderson was a guy I used to watch when I got into it. So I was a guy like I watched growing up, be like, oh, I love this guy. And then fighting him was kind of weird, you know, when you beat up on your role models. So.
That was a great fight. That was maybe I'd say the best fight of your career if I had to pick one was that Dan Henderson fight, because he was such a monster in those fucking days. And he came out in that first round like insane. And then you just fucking took over the fight. And then you guys got to beat up Mayhem Miller afterward.
Yeah, so we went 2-0 that night. Yeah, I got dropped twice that first round. Just completely floored, and I had no idea how bad I was knocked down. In between the rounds, the corner, I'm like, did I slip or how did I end up on the ground? They're like, yeah, you slipped. So I a week later when I watched the fight that I saw I got floored, I was making an ass of myself all week. And like, yeah, I just slipped a couple times.
They're like, hit the one in the middle.
Yeah, everyone's looking at me all weird. And they'd be like, when you got dropped, I'd be like, no, I just slipped, and give me a stupid look. And I watched the fight. I kind of figured out why. Like, oh, someone should have told me.
I saw you. You're very vocal on Twitter, which is great. I love it. I've been following you for a while. I saw you talking about Paddy Pimblett the other day, and his pay. I guess he got paid. We didn't talk about this, Dave, because this came out after we recorded. After we did the last show. So he got paid 12 to show, 12 to win. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, he's clearly a big star. Yeah, I get it. He signed the contract. He's a new guy. He's young, but you know, $24,000 to win a fight. That's I think put out somewhere that would be like you have to fight 5 fights to make over $100,000. And that's like you know, if you're an elite level athlete, he should at least be making 100. Even though he's young, he should at least be making 100K a fight still. I think it's absurd how they take advantage of some of the guys still. I mean, the fighter pay hasn't really gone up since, you know, I was fighting. It sucks because the UFC revenue has, but they're not paying the fighters better.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I agree with you without a doubt. Paddy Pimblett's a star. You just see it when especially in England, right? And I think
they're definitely marketing him as a star.
The perspective is especially that when you watch UFC London, where he hits the cage and it is like holy shit, and all those English, every single one of them, every English fighter got a crazy reaction. But is it? I sort of like I'm like that's kind of on Paddy's team. They should have gotten a better deal, you know. Like, and by the way, the UFC should pay more, but the UFC, it's their job to, you know, they throw out this offer, and if they take it, they go, sweet, all right, great, come, please, we'll make you a star. And I do think Paddy Pimblett will likely go very, very far in the sport, but I don't necessarily blame the UFC for that. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I think it's tough. I mean, I see your point, and that's, you know, it's a valid point, but it just sucks compared to other sports. So you think the UFC pays about like 18%, and you know, NFL's like 50%. But that's kind of on the fighters to find a way to make it happen. I mean, I don't know if we need to. It's so hard to make a union and stuff in fighting, though. But it'd be nice if the UFC paid out 30-40% of the revenue versus, you know, 18%.
Yeah, well, it is interesting what's going on with we've talked about a bunch, but with Francis Ngannou and him having this like kind of like heavyweight star. Your heavyweight champion saying, I'm not fighting for less than this. And I think probably if you actually want to get fighter pay up, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take some guys who the UFC really can't afford to lose, kind of insisting.
Guys like Diaz and, you know, like these guys who want to fight, and he wants to fight. He just wants to get paid too. He's a huge mainstream star, you know, hang out with Nate all the time. When you walk out with him versus a lot of other UFC fighters, he just gets swarmed now. I mean, even more than like actors and stuff you're with. So the guy deserves to get paid when you're that big.
And people forget, because a lot of people, like hardcore fans like us, have known Nate Diaz forever. But a lot of casual fans and people who aren't even fans of MMA know him as the dude who beat Conor McGregor. Like, that's what he really became. But the fight before that, he was getting jerked around with his money and stuff too. So it wasn't until he commanded this that and then people will be like, oh, why is he always like, you know, like being so harsh on this negotiation or that negotiation? It's like, he was the guy for years who would just fight everybody, all the toughest guys for peanuts. So now it's like, now that he made his fucking name, he's putting the screws to them.
He feels owed, He feels the UFC and Dana disrespect him and underpaid him, and he feels like they need to pay him if they want to keep fighting, which I think makes sense. You know, if not, he can go fight YouTubers for $30 million.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
And he talked about going over to not Strikeforce, to
Bellator,
Bellator. He talked about that on Twitter the other day, and you're like, Nate's one of the guys who's big enough That Nate could go over to Bellator and people will want to watch that Nate Diaz fight. It doesn't. He's enough of a name that people will want to watch him wherever he goes.
100%.
Exactly.
I don't want to watch Nate Diaz fight in Bellator. I'll say that as a fan of Nate Diaz. I'd rather watch Nate Diaz beat up YouTubers than watch him fight in Bellator. Is that crazy?
I don't know. Maybe he'd just go.
It's not that crazy. Watching beat up YouTubers could be pretty entertaining.
It'd be hilarious, dude.
I don't know. See, what I thought is how great the Nick Diaz Strikeforce run was. And I go, maybe he would just go over there and just have awesome fucking fights. And it would just be like
one of the fighters that put Bellator on the map,
yeah,
possibly.
like maybe.
Right.
Maybe that's the... I don't know. I don't really care.
Yeah.
If Nate's going to fight, I just want to see him fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Bellator's never really blown up like Strikeforce did. Something like that could be the move that blows him up to that next level.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? What do you think? Why do you think people aren't gravitating toward Bellator? Why don't we talk about Bellator on this show every week, even if they have a crazy fight card? What do you think the problem is?
Yeah, I've wondered the same thing. They just haven't been able to quite bring that same like energy that Strikeforce had. They don't, they haven't been able to build their own stars that good. They're because Bellator, I mean, Strikeforce doing a really good job building their own stars. Guys like me coming through there, Luke Rockhold, all these guys, Gilbert Melendez. Coming through
and then
there,
they came over and proved themselves when they got to the UFC. It was the influx of Strikeforce. When the UFC bought Strikeforce, all those guys fucking murdered it, dude. There was a bunch of great heavyweights that came in, including Daniel Cormier. It was
another one, exactly.
Yeah, and they were very, very successful. And I think the perception might be that the Bellator talent roster maybe just a little bit less stacked. Strikeforce, it was a different time as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, they have some talented guys at Bellator. Not quite maybe the same what Strikeforce had, but they have some talented guys over there. But again, there's also so many fights now might be part of the issue because there's like a UFC every weekend. So maybe that takes away from it. Back then we had a little bit less, so there's maybe more room for another big organization.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. There are so many goddamn fights just in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like there's 5 leagues just in the UFC.
Yeah, if you look at the UFC like fight nights, that's what was the Strikeforce talent or Bellator talent a few years ago. It was they've essentially bought everybody up. Let me ask you a question because I know you got to run and go train pretty soon. We do appreciate your time. You're the fucking man. We'll get you on again soon, hopefully. What are some changes? Right, you've been in MMA for a really long time. You're a legend. You've been all over the place. What are some big changes you think that mixed martial arts could implement today that would give both the fans and the fighters a positive impact?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't really know. There's nothing major I'm thinking of. Those pride head kicks would be nice. I don't know if that'd be good for the fighters though. That'd be good for the fans.
Dude, I was just literally, for whatever reason, I just saw it online and I rewatched the first Vanderlei Silva versus Sakuraba fight.
Ooh, I don't remember that one, but I remember some of those face stomps.
Dude, that you almost like forget because I'm just watching it, and I haven't watched Pride in years at this point. And then you go down, and he's like down, like shooting, but like the shot's stuffed. And then Vanderlei just leans back and just throws a soccer kick to his face, and you're like, oh my god, this was just a thing. Like this position that's like a neutral, safe position now was like the worst position to be in. Yeah. And he just soccer kicked him in the head.
Changes up fighting quite a bit. It makes a difference. It really changes the game up. And I think Pride made Sakuraba fight Vanderlei 3 times. That was kind of the end of his career right there, or the end of his peak career.
It was like they just wouldn't not believe that he could beat Vanderlei Silva, and they were like, "He can't beat Vanderlei Silva,
Please
dude!
Stop
like,
putting
stop!
This old man.
He's great, but he can't."
3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look, Jake, we'll let you go. I mean, what's the plan upcoming? Are you going to ever fight Dylan Dennis? I see you shitting on him on Twitter all the time. Is he just somebody fun to shit on? Does he fight?
Yeah, I mean, I would fight him, but I don't think he'd fight. He's just kind of fun to shit on because he's such a loser, such an idiot. So I mean, more just clown on him. But sure, I'd fight him if he'd sign a contract. I don't think he would because I beat him in a grappling thing, and he actually twice in the middle of the night he called promoters, probably coked out, and asked for a rematch with me. So both times they'd call me in the morning, I would say yeah, and they'd call Dylan, and he just goes to promoters. So it's like I don't know what that kid's trying to do.
Look, he does not fight, but he certainly made a name for himself without fighting. It's pretty crazy.
He's made himself famous as being the clown. I mean, I guess it's hard to say. Is fame worth it or not?
Yeah, that's true. So what's the future plans for you? What's going on?
Oh man, all kinds of stuff. Been training fighters, got some business stuff, doing a lot of business stuff. Yeah, been too busy, but in a good way. Everything's been going good.
That's awesome. Well, listen, we'll let you go. Go train and do your thing. We really appreciate your time. Please support Jake Shields and everything that he does. He is a legend, and we've been a big fan of his for a long time. And hopefully we'll get you on the show again sometime soon.
Cool, man. Yeah, definitely will do. So have a good one. Good talking.
All right, you're the man, Jake. Good to talk to you.